about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Grace and peace to all of our viewers. We're thankful to be here for another edition of The Struggle is Real. And the struggle continues. I'm grateful to be here with my co-host, Brother Eddie Baker, who's still kind of recovering from the day. 4 o'clock in the morning comes a little early every day.
Yes,
He's a hard-working black man. For me, it's 5 a.m. For him, it's 4 a.m. Then he deals with children all day. But we're also grateful to have with us the Reverend Dr. Weaver, who is a pastor par excellence, preacher, and international and global pastor and minister. Pastor Jonathan Weaver is the pastor of Greater Mount Nebo, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, the husband of Sister Pamela, my dear sister, and he has established, he's been on the Greater Mount Nebo for 33 years, and he has also established a school in Democratic Republic of Congo. And it just so happens that as we celebrate and focus on global missions, we have a synergy of purposes and themes, and we simply wanted to bring attention to Dr. Weaver's project and educate our viewers in reference to the Weaver School. So, Dr. Weaver, welcome to another edition of The Struggle is Real, and the struggle continues. And we just wanted to kind of have you introduce yourself, if you don't mind, and tell a little bit. We are only about 30 minutes on this segment, so just to kind of give you an idea of how we kind of function. Let me stop talking and please, by all means, tell us what's happening in the DRC and tell us what's happening with the school.
Thank you so much to my friend and my brother of just about that same amount of time, maybe even a little bit longer than that, because of course we are both quote unquote spiritual graduates of Bethel AME Church in Baltimore, Maryland, under then the Reverend Dr. John Richard Bryant, of course now retired Bishop John Bryant. Let me just say that for me, Africa started taking on dimensions in my life 51 years ago. When I was a junior at Washington University in St. Louis, learned about an organization called Operation Crossroads Africa. It was founded by a Black Presbyterian pastor from Harlem, the late Dr. James Robinson, who first traveled to Africa in 1953.
Wow.
Yes. And his eyes were opened by what he saw. He ultimately ended up creating an organization that would take college students essentially to Africa during the summer months, because he saw the move towards independence of many African nations there in the mid-1950s. And he felt that the best way for people of another culture to learn about Africa is by going and living and working in that culture. And so the first group of what became known as Crossroaders went to Ghana in 1958. Since then, there have been about 14,000 volunteers that have spent their summer. I went in 1971 and helped to build a health clinic in Nigeria near Lagos. That experience transformed my life.
Wow.
Now to about 36, 37 countries in Africa since then. Most recently, to bring it up to where we are now, is that really for the last 25 years at Greater Mount Nebo, I've been actively urging members of our church to go with me on trips to Africa. And then starting in 2012, we've had medical missions teams that have gone to Malawi, Rwanda, and Congo on 2-week annual visits for the last 10 years. And we've actually provided medical care to about 27,000 people.
Wow.
Yes, virtually all of whom had never seen a doctor before. And so what happened was that about 6 years ago, after we had been doing this there in Goma, the easternmost city in Congo, that the local government went to the local AME church there in Goma, Enaim AME church, commended them. And so the Pastor Seraphin, decided that they wanted to engage in an outreach effort. And so they're the ones that actually started the school, and they put my name attached to it, the Weaver Primary and Secondary School, in 2016. Wow. They started with 85 students, all of whom were at that point either orphans or the children of refugees. As of today, there are 1,280 students at the Weaver Primary and Secondary School. 30% of them are orphans. The other 70% of the children of refugees. These children, these young scholars, would not be able to go to what we would call a public school. There they call them government schools, because students, even at a so-called government school, somebody's got to pay as minimum as $300 per year and upwards to $500 a year. The average person in Congo, if they have a job, is making less than $3 a day. And so for these children, there's no way in the world they would be able to go to school. So we're able to provide them with a free education, a high quality education. And let me just say that even after the 6th grade in the system in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the students have to sit for a national exam. And if you fail the national exam, your formal education is over. I am so delighted to tell the audience that every single student that has gone through 6th grade at the Weaver School has passed the national exam. Awesome. We now have students that have gone and completed the 12th grade. They are now serving as chefs, as entrepreneurs, and even as teachers, even at that level in Congo for primary school education. We are so excited about what the children have been able to accomplish. Prior to the school, we're talking about boys that would have been pickpocketers, girls that would have ended up engaging in prostitution, but now they've got hope, they've got inspiration by virtue of what's happened. Now, let me just also say, Pastor, I guess you could see I'm very passionate about this.
Should be.
But we recognize also the depth of economic poverty in the stark change versus the fact that there's $23 trillion worth of minerals underneath the ground in Congo. 23 trillion. That's right. But the fact of the matter is, the children that come to our school, just very recently, none of the girls had even heard of sanitary pads.
Oh.
That's right, Brother Baker. So what would happen is that during that time of the month, they wouldn't come to school because they would feel the embarrassment if indeed there was some discharge, and all of a sudden the boys would tease them. When I learned about that, I put out the appeal. We have now raised $5,000. All 400 girls that fit into the category of needing it have now received sanitary pads and underwear. The sanitary pads, by the way, are made by a factory in Uganda owned by Ugandan women.
All right.
Yeah, and the company is called AfriPads. So if there's some sisters out there that would like to support this effort, our theme for this is Cycle with Grace.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that's a major blessing. We've also had, by the way, about 500 of the children coming to school every day, either with no shoes on or nothing more than flip-flops. And Brother Baker, Pastor, we're talking about walking on lava rock.
Wow.
Because the volcano there not very far from the school, has erupted twice within the last 20 years. When I was there last year in April, the volcano erupted a day after I left. but the ground on which the school is located in a rented area, it's nothing but lava rock. I thank God for a cousin of mine who indeed, along with her husband, lives not too far from where your church is located. She's there in very near to Atlanta, and she is a retired school teacher. And what she has done, once she heard about the need, she has personally given $4,000 in order to be able to put shoes on 400 students at the school.
Wow.
So we're excited about what the Lord is doing. That's really the progress report and the praise report. The last thing I would say for a moment, until you ask me some more questions, would be because we're on rented space, we are looking to find somebody there in the DRC that would be willing to donate some land for us. We already have an architectural firm. Some of you may have heard on 60 Minutes back in December.
I remember that.
Mass Design.
Yeah.
That is located there, headquartered in Massachusetts, but an office in Rwanda. They have already agreed to take us on as a client. So that means that they're going to be preparing the architectural design, and whatever project that they do, they hire from the local community.
That's what I'm talking
All right then.
Yes. So we're talking about jobs being created for people there in Goma. So we're excited about that. So the vision is to indeed create, as I said to the kids, and both of you can resonate with this. The last time I was there in April, I said to the kids, with a little bit of help with the translators, there's a big difference between a Motel 6 and a Ritz-Carlton. So I said to the kids, we want to build a Ritz-Carlton for you. So we're looking at having first-class classrooms. We want to be able to have an IT center. We want to have, of course, a cafeteria. And we want to have a garden so that we can grow vegetables, fruits, and vegetables, because most of the children, when they come to school in the morning, they're listless. And the reason for that is because if they got any meal at home, it was only one meal. So they're coming hungry. But we want to be able to also have a football field, not American football, but a soccer field, basketball court. And obviously we want to have a building that's going to be large enough to be able to handle graduation exercises. Right now, for 1,280 students, we only have 2 bathrooms.
Oh, have mercy.
2 bathrooms. So you can see. Well, whoever gets there first. Literally, there's not even a bathroom for the teachers. We've got 16 teachers. They literally have to go out into the neighborhood and knock on somebody's door and ask them if they can use the bathroom. And so, but in the midst of all of that, we've been able to provide a very meaningful education for the kids. We've got some of the most committed teachers. We have one person here in Prince George's County, Maryland, a retired State Department employee, African-American brother who started his own company, and he was ranked in Black Enterprise for a number of years, sold his company for $90 million back in 2013. I recently became connected to him, and he has already blessed the school for us to be able to buy land or to begin construction of $375,000.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, so we're on our way. We're on our way, Pastor.
I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing.
You know, listen, you talking about that, and you hear all these, excuse me, I'm trying to listen to your internet stuff, but anyhow, all the money they talking about they donating to Africa, these people's trying to get money to help the kids in Africa. And the only thing I heard is about guns when this man went and kill a bunch of folks. You know, how come we never heard of this? How come this is such a low thing?
Brother Baker, I appreciate the question. I would simply say to you that we are trying all the time to make more people aware of what we're doing, not only at the Weaver School, but last year when that volcano erupted, through the organization that I founded 20 years ago called the Pan-African Collective. And you can go to our website that has that name, panafricancollective.org, and you'll see some of the things that we're doing. But when that volcano erupted last year, we ended up raising enough money to provide, it was 30 tons of food that was given out to 300 families to last them an entire month. When the coronavirus broke out, we distributed masks to the people there. And so, Brother Baker, we're constantly trying to share this with other people. I'm grateful for your pastor. We've had other pastors, not only within the AME Church, but also from some of our Baptist brothers.
Right.
Morning Star Baptist Church there in Baltimore, Maryland, Bishop Debnam. They have contributed to our efforts, and also Bishop Anthony Macklin here in our area. So we're constantly trying to spread the word. We actually have had, Brother Baker, Pastor Logan, the former U.S. ambassador to the DRC that visited our school, Michael Hammer. And not only that, but it has come to the attention, well, because I've gotten to know him fairly well, one of the U.S. senators from Maryland, Senator Chris Van Hollen. They've recently had a hearing to consider a new U.S. ambassador to Congo, and in the congressional record, Senator Van Hollen asked this nominee, would you go and visit the Weaver School if you were in And in the congressional record, he says, I've got a good friend, Pastor Weaver, over in Prince George's County, that's doing some wonderful work. And he's got this Weaver School, and I want to know, will you go to the school? And she said, Senator, if I get confirmed, I will clearly go to the school.
Wow.
So we're constantly trying to find ways to publicize what we're doing.
I think it's amazing.
Great. Well, and I know you're giving large donations, but do you have like an organization set up or some type of fund thing set up where people could that not able to give large donation at one time could send small donations?
Brother Baker, no donation is too small at all. I'll give you a good example. For example, right now, the cost to really pay the teachers at the primary school level are making the princely sum of $65 a month. That's roughly $3 a day teaching.
Yes.
Now, that same cousin I was telling you about, she's actually paying the salaries for 2 of the teachers now per month. Now, somebody with listening to this podcast may in fact say, well, my gosh, I could go without that coffee or whatever on a given day each month. And so, Brother Baker, yes, but we're also looking to purchase shoes for the children, $10 a pair. Is just an example. We always need school supplies at the beginning of the year, pencils, rulers, you name it. So no, Brother Baker, no contribution is too small.
Okay. Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for what you're doing. We're 100% behind you. I would want to at some point get into the conversation about the precious metals under there. I remember the time that there was a great deal happening there with the butchery, the dismemberments, the attacks with machetes. And I remember asking the young man who was at your church, asking them, well, what U.S. interests were there? He was like, oh, there's no U.S. interests here. We looked at each other like, God is just clueless about what's really going on here. And unfortunately, it is what it is. Because it's always about money. And unfortunately, yes, sir.
I'm sharing that in light of what you're saying, because in every phone, there's something called coltan. That mineral, 64% of the world's coltan comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yep.
And they've even got young boys at the age of 7 and 8 years old that are out there mining this coltan that ultimately makes it into Apple, Samsung, you name it, So it's ubiquitous, and therefore we are impacting the DRC every single day.
Absolutely.
How can a company like Apple and those big telecom operations come in there and operate without paying a good cost for the labels there?
They will only get pushed when people push them. Otherwise, it's solely about profit. That's all that they're concerned about. And so, quite frankly, there is not a large constituency, Brother Baker, Pastor Logan, here in America for Africa. And so now other countries, as we all know, will get publicity just about every day. There's an election coming up there in Israel, for example. We'll hear more and more about that. But when it comes to Africa, we get short shrift. And that's why what we're trying to do within the Pan-African Collective is to raise people's awareness, heighten people's consciousness, just as we're doing through this podcast tonight.
Absolutely. I apologize. We have to kind of cut it short. We got to transition to another session. But we want to thank you so much for giving us just a snapshot of what we're doing. We are affirming our partnership with you and the Weaver School, and we hope to join you in a excursion there. I know you're going for 18 days in a couple of days. I wish we could go, but at least we'll do a WhatsApp kind of thing from there. We'll communicate so that we can connect. It was exciting to do that while we were hosting our first summer enrichment program, and we had the children from the school communicate with the children from our summer enrichment program, which I thought was just phenomenal. And so we hope to continue to do those kinds of things. And
the kids loved it, as a matter of fact. That's the praise report. The kids at the Weaver School, they were excited and would love to do it again.
That's right. That's right. It was amazing, and I hope we can. So without that, any closing comments, Dr. Weaver?
Well, first of all, Pastor Logan, thank you so much. I appreciate our friendship over the years, but also now the connection with St. Paul and the support under your leadership that has been captured for the school. And we just look forward to strengthening the relationship. And yes, who knows, maybe sometime in the future, we'll have some folks from St. Paul that will go and actually visit the school. That would be a blessing. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much. Brother Baker, anything before we close?
No, I go research and see a lot more and read a lot more about this school, and I like to know a lot more. And maybe some given time I can send a donation. Not a lot. I don't have a lot of money, but I will send something that I do have.
Well, we're certainly going to give you an opportunity during this Global Missions Month. So get your, get your bus money in line, because we appreciate you so much. Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Thank you, Brother Baker.
God bless you, sir.
For being a part of this edition.
Thank you, sir. Glad to meet you.
Honored to be with the two of you today.
Great to be with you. The struggle is real.
And the struggle continues.
See you next time. Peace and blessings.
God bless you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the